Good morning. This is Dave Jokum, Director of Business and Membership Development with the Longview Chamber of Commerce. And I want to welcome you today to this webinar that we're doing. It is actions to manage the COVID-19 crisis in your business. And want to let you know a couple of things as we get started here. First of all, this webinar is being recorded and will be made available online at longviewchamber.com. For those of you on the line, you'll receive an email later today with a link to listen again and or share with others. We just want to make sure you share it with everybody who needs to hear it. A couple of other things: you'll be muted through the presentation as a participant. You'll be able to listen to our presenters and see the visual presentation provided. If you don't see the green and white title slide at this time on your computer, please look to the toolbar at the bottom for the GoToWebinar icon. It's a little flower looking icon. Click on that and then you should be able to see the screen. And then lastly, even though this is muted, it's an interactive webinar. So there's a questions section to the right on the little panel on the right side of your screen. And you can ask any questions you'd like any time during the presentation, and then we'll go through those questions when the presentation is complete. And so you can also use that to send a message to the organizer if you're having any issues with the broadcast. The Longview Chamber of Commerce has been working hard in gathering information and getting information out for our business community. We know that this is a painful time, and many of you are still in the process of trying to get some answers to some things and trying to figure out the best way to go about the work that you do. And while we don't have all the answers, we have access to experts in different areas. And so today, our experts are Robert and Kelly Belt. They're with Action Coach Longview, and Action Coach does coaching and training and a lot of other things to help businesses kind of get on the right track, get results, thrive, and just get better at what you do as a business leader. And they're committed to that for our area. Both Robert and Kelly, they have a great heart for business, and we're excited to have them today. So I'm going to turn it now over to them.
Thanks, Dave. We're going to get this presentation started right now. Thank you for having us today. As we said, we're going to be talking about actions to manage your business during the COVID-19 crisis. We're hoping these are all actions that you can take and integrate into your business today. We've actually included a checklist that has a lot of this information on it that you can take back to your team and go through and see if some of those are options available to your business that you can implement. The first thing I wanted to talk about is your mindset right now, because mindset is so critical right now. Now is the time to plan, not panic. You know, panic is contagious, whether that's in your team, to your customers, to your vendors. It's contagious, but so is leadership. So people are looking for leaders right now, and this is your opportunity to be that person for them. It's also your chance to get ahead of this current situation with a solid business plan. By this point, we already know that your original plan, your original budget for 2020, that rule book, that playbook has probably gotten tossed out the window temporarily, but now's the time to regroup, get ahead of it, and educate your customers, your clients, your team. Respond versus react. Take a pause to think so that you can think critically before responding. Make sure that you have all of the facts and that you get the message that you want to represent your business by, and just make sure that you do that before you make a decision. Don't make any rash decisions regarding your business. As business owners, we must be the solution providers. Now is the time to be innovative. Some of the best inventions, some of the best technological advances have been made in a crisis situation, so keep that mindset. This is the new normal temporarily, so it's just time to adjust and pivot your business. And from a personal mindset space, make sure you're taking the time every day to either start your day or end your day with prayer, meditation, maybe a gratitude journal, a workout, just something to keep a clear headspace so that you can bring your best self to the table every day for all of those that are important around you. So we're going to start with these 20 actions that you need to take now. The first one is just communicate. You can't over communicate right now. The who, what, when, where, and how is who are you tailoring your message to? You might need to make some shifts in your messaging right now just to make sure that you're still messaging your brand appropriately for what's going around in the economy with the health crisis. What? Make sure that you are presenting facts. There's a lot of hearsay, there's a lot of misinformation out there, so just make sure that you're distributing facts. When? Determine the frequency with which you're going to communicate with your team. Many people are having morning team calls, morning team webinars, and then just make sure that you're also getting frequent messaging out to your clientele. Right now is a great time to not stop marketing. And then the where and the how is you may have to use new platforms that you hadn't used before. Now it's time to step up your social media, maybe try a new platform like GoToWebinar or Zoom. So there's many free and affordable options out there to do that. And then address the FUD, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. All of the people in your life right now are experiencing all of these anxious feelings, and it's your opportunity to get that clear messaging out to them. When you're communicating, determine what value you provide outside of your product. So it's a really great time to think about that emotional connection that you have to your customers and your team. What else are you providing them? With your team, it may be livelihood, the camaraderie, the professional development, the mentorship. With your customers, network, suppliers, it might be health and wellness, mindset, services that make them feel safe. Make sure you're conveying that message to them. And the same with your community. Make sure your community knows how you've been serving them the best. Step 2, be positive. Panic and worry doesn't help anyone. We know that. It's contagious. Look for the small wins every hour. This is something that Robert and I have tried really hard to develop and keep going. There are little wins, there's silver linings and everything. Look for those and document them and share them so that you can keep that positive outlook. How can I sell toilet paper? That's just a little jab on everything that's been going on, but get creative. Now is the time to be creative and bring new ideas to the market that you might not have thought about before. Sometimes less news is better. We're all on our phones and on our computers more than ever, and if that is becoming a source of anxiety for you, set some daily app limits on your phone so that you can turn it off and focus on what's in front of you, focus on today, the next few weeks, and less on all. There's a ton of sadness out there, and you got to focus on what's positive in your realm as well. And lead your people. People are looking for leaders, not followers, so that's the most critical thing right now. Don't argue with the facts. This pandemic is no longer hearsay. It's now in our community. We are experiencing extended restrictions. So it's time to accept the new normal, but understand that it's just a chapter. This is temporary. This is going to go on. We don't really have a timeline, maybe a few months, maybe a few more weeks, but it's not years. It's temporary. We all are going to come out on the other side of this. And it's just important to keep that focus, that this is just something that you've got to wade through and then come out on the other side stronger, with more education, more new ideas for your business, and new things that you can reach out to your community with. Accept that there are going to be supply chain impacts and changes. Many of us are already experiencing this. The sooner that you can accept it and move forward, the more that you can create new plans. Your distribution needs will change. That is incoming and outgoing. So many businesses have already shifted to a shipping only with their product line, and those are just new things that you can be creative on. And as we see societal changes, that might be something that you want to implement going forward as a value add to your customers.
So step 4 is to know the cycles, and this is really understanding business in terms of the 4 seasons. This has originated way back with Jim Rohn, and has been a really good way to understand the normal business cycle that happens. Sometimes areas of these get accelerated or last for longer durations due to economic changes or disasters like what we're going through right now. So first of the cycles is obviously summer. That's when business is easy, for lack of a better word of describing it, because it's usually never easy, but it's at its easiest. It's the economy's good. Unemployment is low. It's really easy to operate during those times. Immediately following a summer is a fall. This is usually it's difficult for people to identify when they're in this part of the cycle, because the fall is it's a slow decrease, sometimes fast, but it's usually a slower decrease from summer into winter. So identifying the beginning of fall is usually pretty difficult. Now, again, this is a normal business cycle. So what we've gone through right now is we went through a very quick fall and entered right into winter. Winter is exactly what you would think it is. It's a low point economically, where businesses are struggling, everything else. So obviously, our last one was the Great Recession. And then for people connected to oil and gas, there was 2014, 2015, 2016, that period there. But you have to operate differently in the winter than you do in the summer. So, it's people who can shift their businesses with the seasons and operate just as effectively and efficiently in the winter. Different marketing, different messaging to make sure that their customers are engaged as they are in the summertime. Those are the businesses that usually can create a lot of wealth in the wintertime. Most businesses don't take advantage of that, but as Kelly's mentioned on some of the last slides, there's a lot of wealth to be created in winters, if you will. A lot of businesses have the chance to gain market share in the winter that would be much more difficult to get in summertime, et cetera, et cetera. So, this is where your improved planning and shifts in your business model can really make your business take off. And that's basically where we're at right now, is the winter. Following winter is the spring. And spring kind of comes on, and all of a sudden you look around and it's, everything's better. So there's usually a lack of realization on the beginning of spring as well. Essentially what we're trying to do right now is have everybody ready for the impending spring when all of this goes away. So you're working through this down period to create some pent up demand for you and your business, maybe additional offerings for your customers, grow your relationship with your customers, grow your engagement with your customers. It doesn't really matter what industry you're in. All of those things are really important right now. And if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, people have the need to feel safe. I believe that's the third one down, but it's people are at that point right now where they're nervous about their safety. They're nervous at that level. So you have to understand that and empathize with that, and that will really help prepare you for your spring. It's essentially a time that you can, have a really hard launch coming out of winter and into spring. So this is a good little way to think about business cycles. Step 5 is change. So something about change, and I'm going to post a video to our social media on this about there's a lot of talk about curves, but it's one particular curve right now, and that is the bell curve around coronavirus cases. But there's another curve that nobody's talking about that's very important in this time, and that is the change curve. I'm not going to go into it a whole lot on this. Like I said, I'm going to post a completely separate video on our social media about it. But it's understanding, how people react to change, what stages of this change curve they're in, the cycle of change. And it's got kind of a morbid origin. It was developed on research from people who had been told they had a terminal illness and all the different stages of grief that they went through. But it's also been used very successfully for major disruptive change in corporations and business. So I was exposed to it at Trinity Industries. We had a lot of employees, and we used change management to implement new programs and whatnot. So it's very effective. So, if y'all want to look for that on our social media, you're welcome to it. It'll be there by Friday. The main thing here is to understand the formula for change, which is the third bullet point. So the D times V, and you'll notice that it's a multiple, is dissatisfaction times vision, plus first steps has to be greater than your resistance to change. So people are not going to change unless they're not happy with their current position. So that's the dissatisfaction piece. And then they have to have a vision of where they're going. A lot of people lack that, so they just kind of stay in that dissatisfaction mode with no clarity on how to move forward. That's another thing that you can really optimize this time that we are all having to create that vision of how you want to move forward. And then once those two things are done, then the first steps is the easy part. That's execution. That's putting together metrics that you're going to measure for your business, et cetera, et cetera. And as long as all of those things are greater than, emotionally than your resistance to change, you can successfully implement massive changes in your business, even the whole business model. So number 6, save resources. One thing that's very important is cash flow right now. So your revenue is likely dropping. For some of you, it's not, which is really good. But for a lot of people, revenue is dropping. There's a lot of SBA aid coming, but nobody's really gotten it yet. It's going to lag a little bit. So you have to come up with a plan to at least hoard some cash during this time, because your cash flow of your normal business model is going to be severely affected. So cash is king. Cut all non-necessary expenses, et cetera, et cetera. Leverage credit if you do have, a revolver or something with your bank, or a credit card, even if that's what you use. But make sure that you're using credit to your advantage right now, because you do want to hoard the hard cash. Renegotiate terms now. That's absolutely an opportunity. Almost every body that you would have a loan with at the moment, or rent, or credit cards, anything like that, they're all willing to negotiate with you right now. So please contact all of those companies that you pay bills to every month and try to get them to push the bill, out a couple of months. Even if they just prorate it and set it out there in July, that helps your short-term cash flow, which is critical to surviving this time. Slow things down or postpone. Most people are doing that out of necessity at this moment, but just make sure that you don't take on too much during this time that's not going to quickly turn into revenue. If you've got something that's going to quickly turn into revenue, let it roll. But if it's going to be a longer sales cycle or something before it turns into money in the door, you might want to think about slowing those things down. Keep marketing and selling. I see a lot of people that are not doing this right now. Some people are very uncomfortable because their only call to action is to buy. That is not the only call to action that you can have with your customers or clients. So, it's all about engagement right now, connecting with them on the emotional level. Again, everybody wants to feel safe. They want to feel like they're still connected to society and still connected to things that they like. And they're all sitting at home looking on social media. So that's a natural one to communicate through. You can also get free email marketing through like MailChimp or something like that. But the idea is you may adjust your message. Don't get the hard sales push, which I typically don't recommend anyway. But um, your call to action may be just engage with us in some manner. Comment on our post of what you'd like to see more of. Follow us on social media. Those kinds of things. Those are still all calls to actions because it's asking your clients and customers to engage with you. If you do that now, you're going to create some pent up demand for your products and your services as soon as they're available to do it. And it's a soft engagement rather than a, hey, come spend money with me right now when they may not have the money to do it. So that's very important as well.
Step 7, use your credit. This really piggybacks on what Robert was just elaborating with. OPM, that's other people's money. That refers to lending. Go to your banks, find the lowest rates ASAP. We all get tons of credit card, junk mailers, things like that, giving you different offers. If you see one that you qualify for, either in your business or personal, if they have balance transfers, now is a great opportunity to take advantage of that if you can get a lower APR, and then you might also have a cashback rewards that you could then apply to that statement balance. So the point being, just be creative with your finances, do some research, make smart decisions, but absolutely take advantage of those opportunities. Refinance, this might be a good opportunity to refinance your vehicles. Even, mortgage rates have been bouncing around. You might speak to your mortgage banker and just see if those are options that are available to you. And like I said, this is for personal finances as well as businesses. There's lots of opportunities for business owners and people that are not. So this is an opportunity that you can also educate your employees and make sure that if they are experiencing hardships, that you're a resource for them as well. Step 8 is staff appropriately. Many of you are already in this situation, but you may need to add and subtract employees to align with your market. Use vacations where possible. With new restrictions in your, with social distancing 6 feet apart, you might want to encourage some employees to utilize vacation time, or that's something that you can implement for them to not be at the office, but to stay away from having to lay them off. Thankfully, in the past week, we do have the payment protection program that's coming on board. So this is going to alleviate a lot of the prior concern and make sure that you can keep your employees on and get through this time. Lay off all at one time or by attrition. The main key takeaway from this is it is detrimental to your employee and your business culture to, lay off one person this week and then lay off another one the next week. That creates fear and anxiety in your existing employees, which then is going to make them less productive. They may be looking for positions elsewhere. Just be truthful and forthcoming with your employees. And if you do have to make those hard decisions, I would encourage you to do that at one time. Have a group discussion, whatever you feel is best for your current culture. But now is not the time to increase anxiety and fear with them. You might look at suspending bonus programs just for the interim. You could always accrue those bonuses and then pay them out later when we are in a more fruitful economy. So that doesn't mean that you have to take them away forever, but you might defer those bonuses to employees, and most would probably be most understanding right now. Step 9 is an operational plan. Virtual office capacities. Many people have already shifted to remote work. If you weren't set up for this already, this is a great learning opportunity for you and your staff to explore those capabilities. There's lots of great resources in Longview to help you make those changes. And there's also lots of great tutorials, free tutorials online on how to use different platforms such as this and Zoom, conference calling, and all of those great tools that we have. Meetings and reportings, that just means that you might need to shift those as well. Your customer service must not suffer, so I would definitely put that at the forefront of your plan. make sure that you have the resources, be it employees, technology, etc., to make sure that your customers can still have that great customer experience that they are so used to. Make sure your payments and receipt processing doesn't suffer. Make it easy for folks to buy from you. So just make sure that you're making it as easy and hygienic and safe as possible for them. Make sure that you're clear and concise with your policy changes. You don't want to have unhappy customers because maybe there was a miscommunication. So just make sure that you make the entire process as hassle-free as possible. Your metrics may need to change. Like we said, your 2020 budget and KPIs are key performance indicators for your business and your employees. Probably has changed a good bit during this short period of time. So make sure that you are fair and adjust those accordingly, and make sure that everyone on your team knows what the real expectations are for right now. Step 10, online or deliveries. Many of you have already started this, but if you haven't already, explore delivery capabilities and capacities. This is a great way if you have team members that are less busy in your store or in your office, maybe shift them to a delivery service model. Make sure that you make different ways to get your products out there to your customers. Online, phone delivery, you might be able to do digital resources depending on the type of business you're in. That's definitely options for professional services. Staffing changes and training, same thing. Make sure that you have digital options available for them to access their new job duties. Make sure that you're being clear and concise. You might need to update some sections of your handbook. Just make sure that you're getting all the appropriate information out there. People aren't going to come to you right now. You've got to go to them. So as Robert said, you've got to shift your marketing. You've got to make sure that you're accessible. Add or reconfigure space. You might need to rearrange your office, for the social distancing guidelines for those employees that it is essential for them to be on site. Or you might need to reconfigure their space for whatever your new distribution methods are. So make sure that you can make it as efficient as possible. You might learn some new strategies for deploying product services in your business. So this is the time that you can experiment with that too. And then just communication with customers is key. You can't over communicate right now.
So slide 11, marketing. We mentioned it earlier on slide 6, I believe, but you have to keep marketing. Change your message up, increase the frequency with which you're reaching out. It's all about reach right now. How many people can you engage? And again, empathy is key. So we're all going through this same experience, but make sure that you consider that experience when you're talking to your customers. So where could your customers be emotionally, and how can you engage with them in an empathetic way? Not just hey, we sell you furniture or whatever. How can you do that? Maybe you could do some marketing that is for your business, and that you also donate to part of the something for solutions to the pandemic. So the hospitals, you can donate a portion of the hospitals, things like that. That's what people like to see right now, because they all want to be part of a solution in some manner. And if they don't have a mechanism to do that, you may be able to be that mechanism by donating on their behalf, and they'll want to engage with you because of that. Increase, not decrease, already covered that. That acronym there, WIFM, stands for What's in It for Me messaging. That is exactly what I was talking about, where you have to understand what your customer gets out of your marketing and make sure that that aligns with what they need right now. If you're not addressing what they need from a personal standpoint, your engagement is going to drop significantly. If you are addressing what they need on a personal standpoint, and just coming from whatever the relationship your business has with them, there's a lot of power in there right now. People feel emotionally disconnected. Everybody's stressed out. People working from home don't know if they're working or if they're at home, and everything is just muddy at the moment. So any clarity, positive messaging that you can give around your business and the relationship with your customers will be the result of that is going to be increased marketing and market share when this thing all lifts, or potentially during the crisis as well, depending on if you can pivot your offerings and still adhere to the government mandates. Create new offers and rates. Again, so I gave an example of that. Maybe you can donate a portion to hospitals, or maybe you do something for our medical professionals. It's a special thing, and you don't need to look at those things like you're only marketing to the medical professionals, because everybody out there again wants to see people giving to those that are sacrificing so much right now. So to figure out a way for your business to be able to do that speaks to how you're empathetic with the current situation, how you want to be a part of the solution as well. You'll gain a lot of positive feedback from your customers in that manner. The relationships will strengthen, and then you can really focus on lifetime value of a customer. You want your existing customers, your lifeblood. You want them to come back and buy from you many times. So you want to have that personal relationship. Measure your 5 ways numbers. So the 5 ways numbers are what we use to increase profitability in businesses. There's basically around your reach, and then how many people you're converting, how many times that they buy from you, how to improve the revenue that they buy, average dollars that they spend with you, and then what you can do on the margin side as well. We can go into a lot greater detail with that for anybody that's interested, and we'll elaborate on that at the end. But it's complimentary to go through that specific to your business. I don't want to get too in the weeds there because it's all very case by case. So get cash up front. This could be something, especially for like the trades right now. You want to make sure that you have something in place that if you don't get the cash up front, you at least have a signed agreement or something, because the last thing you want to do is get stuck winning a project and then not being able to, you buy the stuff, to do the project, and then they drop out on you. You got to protect yourself now. So whether it's an agreement that your customer buys their material up front, I'm using the trades as an example because that's a big area where you can get hammered. But you just do not want to be in a position where they're paying for services after they're rendered if you can help it. So anything you can do to get the cash before services are rendered, or at least an agreement that cash will be provided after the services, is really important right now. Step 12 is sales. So repeat business, talked about that on the last slide. Existing customers are the best customers. Again, it's lifetime value of your relationships. So what is an existing customer worth to you? How much would it really take to replace that customer? Think about those kinds of things, and you'll find that it's very expensive to do so. So customer loyalty is critical. You want to be the Apple to your customers, to Costco, the places like that people are going to come to no matter what. So you can really reach out to your core customer base right now, and again, this will create deals just for them, but give them an extra benefit that they may not have normally had that shows appreciation for them, and acknowledgement that they do continue to do business with you regularly. Bulk buys, cash up front. That's, again, we kind of talked about that on the last slide. You can offer bulk buy, discounts if you prepay. So from a cash flow position, you can get increased cash this way. It'll improve your cash cycle. And if you can get, obviously, if it's a cash discount, or you don't have to worry about credit card fees or anything else. So, but that's just a way. It's a win-win for you and your customers. Sell what they need. That kind of speaks for itself, and keep them at all costs. So client retention, again, is very, very important right now. You do not want to enter the spring with losing 20-30% of your existing customers. There's no reason that anybody should do that right now. You just have to be, the customer experience has to amp up at the moment to make sure that you retain everybody.
Step 13 is sales for new business. Keep in mind your competition is challenged right now. So this is your opportunity to gain a new market share if you stand out against the competition. So getting your name out there, building awareness right now, selling what your customers need. Make sure that they know that you have those products or services that they're looking for. You can be the one that stands out right now. Change your USP. That's your unique selling proposition. So make sure that all of the customers and potential clients know what makes you unique, what makes you stand out against the crowd. And then change your guarantee. A guarantee can be something simple as we guarantee to provide you the best customer service, but it's something that you promise to give to your customers, and it's something that stands out because not everyone words it in that way to offer that guarantee. Change your marketing. Again, if you don't change your marketing to portray what we're going through right now with the health and economic crisis, you're going to come across as not empathetic, not sympathetic. So you want to make sure that you shift and gear your marketing to what's going on currently. And communicate and educate on your offer. Make sure that people know what you're doing differently. Make sure people know who you are, where you are, and all of the different ways that they can connect with you. Step 14 is just common sense and compassion. Over-deliver on customer service. Now is not the time to fall short. Clean and don't touch. I see this on social media. Many businesses are already making sure that people know that they are doing all that they can to comply with CDC. Provide sanitizer. Make sure that you have hand sanitizer available. If you have a reception area, just make sure that folks feel as comfortable as possible. And put people first. At the end of the day, human life is so much more important. So just make sure that you're using common sense and evaluating on a day-to-day basis what's best for everyone right now. And just be nice. You see, we all see the hateful comments online, and now is the time to be compassionate to others. We're all in this together. So just be respectful and mindful that everyone's in a different place right now. Everyone is experiencing stress and anxiety, and be that source of comfort, be that source of compassion to people. Step 15, some things don't change. We're still going to have weather. There's still going to be other accidents, other health crises aside from COVID-19. Your family, friends, neighbors, eat, drink, socialize, engage with those businesses that support your local business neighbors. Get takeout, enjoy your family, take advantage of this special time. Think about what else will stay the same when we're all through this, and things that maybe you want to keep that you've experienced through this. Many of us have experienced that we miss having those family dinners. So this goes back to your personal mindset. Just make sure that you identify what you want to keep out of this, and then look for those new opportunities right here.
Step 16, money. So there are investments to be had right now that have massive returns, basically guaranteed, because again, we're in the winter part of the season. So it doesn't mean that these hard assets or stocks are worth any less than they were 4 months ago, but because of the current economic situation, their price is such. Again, money is cheap now. If you wanted to get financing for something like this, real estate, right, is slow at the moment, priced competitively, and could be a great way to diversify your revenue for the future. If you have all your eggs in one basket right now, you may be able to get an additional source of revenue from this. And we've got resources that we can give you around that as well to kind of help understand that. But the main thing is look for opportunities to buy other assets that are going to provide a great return and appreciate over a long time. And also learn to save cash for next time. Long-term action coach clients are in a much better cash position than they would have been prior to this. So there's people that were able to weather the storm that wouldn't have been prior. So it's very, very critical. Next is team. So there are very few leaders and many followers. By nature, your leaders are going to be, maybe 10-20% of your total workforce. So you want to be identifying other leaders besides yourself right now and helping to get alignment across the messaging in your business. Doesn't really matter what position people are in. Leaders are leaders no matter what. So what this could help you do is also identify people who have some runway to grow into greater positions moving forward that you may not have previously identified because you couldn't slow down enough to see it. So, but be very intentional about seeking those people out, and make sure that you're coming from the position of a leader as well. And then use common messaging between yourself and anybody else that you identify as a leader to make sure that you're pumping the most positive messaging to the rest of your team. Your leverage is in your team. Again, good people are the most important thing in a business. So collaborative environments necessary at all times, but now is the time for people that to really understand the sense of community and helping your fellow man for a greater goal, because we've kind of been forced into that mindset right now. Everybody's pretty open to change at the moment. Their normal is gone. So now is the time for maybe increasing your team performance. Over communication, we mentioned that 3 times. That's not an accident, because that is the critical piece of all of this. You've got to be communicating 2-3 times what you normally do with all of the people your business interacts with, including the employee. Just because, again, everybody's looking for safety and comfort right now, and they're not getting it. So that's the need for the additional communication. Advise, direct, lead. Again, use empathy for this. This is also a great time to come from a position of understanding to your employees. And your team could even be partners in other businesses that you work with that you can strengthen your relationships on. But getting to know people at a personal level is a huge opportunity right now. The old systems may not longer apply. That is very true, and that's kind of what I mean by identifying your leaders right now. You may, because of the shift in our current state of business, you may identify things that you've previously not seen within your organization that allows you to really improve the talent, and even maybe the org chart with your current employees. So, this is even better than a performance review type setup because you really get to see how people deal with um, unclear expectations, ever-changing information, all of these things that cause stress. You find those people who stress motivates them to find a solution. Those are the people you want in leadership positions.
Step 18 is compassion. Just remember that it's worse for many than for you. So just always be thinking about and being considerate of others. Empathy, be genuine. People are attracted to authentic people. Take the time to slow down and be aware of everyone else. It's an easy time to feel stressed. You may feel backed against the wall. Your gut reaction may be to lash out or take out your frustrations on others, and just slow down, take a second, and be aware of your surroundings. Be calm. Now is a great time to learn more about human psychology because it can help you in communicating with others. We have some great resources that we'd love to share with you on that. And that's things that are going to help you with your team building and connecting with your customers in the future, not just now. So take advantage of this opportunity to develop yourself more so that you can be a better resource for your team as well. Step 19, create a plan. Again, anxiety grows when there is no plan. Most people's anxiety is this is something new. None of us have been through this before. We don't know what to expect. We don't know when it will end, but we know that we have to figure out what's next. We need to figure out what we're going to do tomorrow, next week, and next month. You need to anticipate impacts to your business. It's easy to try to turn a blind eye and just wish for this to be over, but the reality is that you've got to be able to determine where you are in your business, your current state, and what changes need to be made in order to survive and thrive after this. And invest where opportunity exists. This can be from a financial standpoint, this can be from resources, this can be from a team standpoint. And ask yourself the questions, how can I market during the pandemic? Look at those options. How can I make sales with fewer leads? You can actually create more leads through your social media channels, but also your average dollar sale. What else can you offer your customers? And how can we keep operating with less revenue? So these are all things that you can plan around. Last step 20 is learn, plan, act. Again, procrastination comes from perfection and leads to regret. You can't procrastinate right now. You've got to create a plan. You can put together a plan in just a few hours. We wanted to let you know that right now, we as Action Coach are offering a 90-day plan that we can do a online virtual workshop with you, give you all of those resources, and set aside the time to meet you where you're at with your business. That's something that we're offering to all business owners. Typically, it's a quarterly planning event, but we're doing a COVID-specific one, and we are happy to set up time with you to do that. Start thinking about 5 ideas on things you need to do to take action today on your business. That's what we'd like to challenge you to do. And then lastly, we are offering complimentary 2-hour pivot strategy sessions to all business owners in East Texas. We'll sit down with you and figure out your current state, meet you where you're at, and help develop a 90-day just turnaround plan to survive through this, but also identify what your 3-year objectives are for your business and what that would mean for you personally. And start planning those resources that can get you through this COVID crisis and on to having an even more successful business over the next 3 years. And with that, we'll turn this back over to Dave, and we appreciate you guys checking in with us. We've also listed these handouts. You can have this presentation downloaded, and there's also a 17-point checklist on steps that you can take to pivot your business. That's a great tool that you can implement today. But we're happy to have you reach out. Let us know. You can follow us on social media, and we're also providing some tips and tools daily on there as well.
All right. Thank you, Robert and Kelly. Some great information there. And like you mentioned, yeah, there are 2 handouts on the right side of your screen for our participants. There's a section that says handouts. You can download both of those right now. They will also be available when this recording is put on our website, on the Chamber's website, and so you'll have access to them there as well. So some great information you shared. I want to ask you guys, we've got a couple of questions. Um, One is related to customer service. Can you give a couple of tips for how to handle businesses that are, for all intents and purposes, right now closed? What should they do as far as their phones or somebody coming up to their business, their store, or whatever it is? Any thoughts there?
If their store is closed, one thing that they might check with their phone provider, is there a way to transfer that line to a key person's cell phone, just so that you can make sure that you can accept calls. It may be during a shortened business hour or time, but even to have a message system so that you can reach out. That's one thing that you could do. Also, make sure that you're connecting with them on your social media platforms. Let's see, what else?
The other thing about phone calls is that's a really good time to engage your customers at a deeper level. You know, you can have a conversation with them about their needs and just talk to them overall and grow that relationship. If you can do business with them in some way, you can definitely discuss that. But if you're completely shut down, you know, this is a great time, and it's just like what we were talking about, is, you know, catering to your existing customers and making sure that you have client retention there. You can use, you know, this time to do a lot of that. You know, if people come up to the door, you can do the same thing if you're there. But you can, you know, if you're not there, you could direct them to a phone number where they have a resource to call. Even again, even if they can't deal with you in your traditional business, it still gives them, they feel like they can get connected with you, which is really important right now.
And also, it's a great idea to even consider making outbound calls to some of your most frequent customers. You know, people are feeling isolated right now, and you would be amazed at how far that can go. Just making that reach out to them and checking in to see how they're doing, that could really brighten someone's day, and that would be a lifetime customer.
Super good tips there. Got another one. Can you speak to the value or maybe lack of value for businesses that are still able to pay employees? Maybe things are like at a real lull. You know, they're just not as busy right now, but they still have some employees. What's the value of having employees do things like cleanup work or those tedious things that you should do, but you never seem to get to? You know, it's clean out the closet, it's clean out the database, that kind of thing. What is their value there?
Well, I mean, it's yes. The answer is yes, but you know, one thing to be certain of is if you do intend to retain your employees, which should be the intention, you know, the payment protection program from the SBA is out now, or payroll protection, I should say. It's designed for exactly that you can get, you know, forgivable payroll income for, I think it's 8 weeks basically is what they're looking at, where you can still pay your employees, but it won't interrupt your personal cash flow. I would say, yeah, you know, cleaning up and everything else is great, but again, if you've got people there, be sure to take some time to try to do some growth with them. And maybe it's conversations, maybe it's a formal meeting, maybe it's some training that you can give them, but you can really optimize your team right now when they're not doing their normal day-to-day work. And if you can use that as well as the payroll protection program so that you're able to retain these employees, I mean, that's a win-win across the board. Your cash flow will stay with the business, and you can use those employees to, you know, they're still earning a living, and you can increase their education in various ways. We have a lot of clients right now that's what we're working with them on, is how do we implement training programs and implement you know, job specific coaching and that kind of thing to improve their team. You know, the door is wide open for that. When things get back to normal, they won't be.
That's a good point. So I know that you guys believe what we believe, and that is that your people are your most valuable asset. And so you make a good point. If you need some cleanup work done, that's great, but don't do it just to give them something to do. You might be better served to give them some opportunities for growth.
Yeah, that's a mutual benefit for you and the employee, you know. Most people want to grow, and you know, it's easy to get wrapped up in the whirlwind of the day to day when things are rocking and rolling. So while they're not, it's tremendous opportunity to help facilitate that growth.
And you can also identify potential leaders in the organization by who engages in those opportunities to learn more. And yes, absolutely, take advantage of some of those things that you've been putting off that maybe you have extra time to do. But more than likely, you can certainly find time to do both of those things and take advantage of this time. Like I said, always find the silver linings.
Good, good. Okay, one more. What are some ways that either for the the business owner that it's maybe just them or maybe one or two other people, or the business owner that has multiple employees, do you guys have any tips? This is kind of this can be kind of a depressing time in some ways. It can be like you mentioned, Robert. You're working at home, but are you working or you're not working? There's that just that lack of clarity sometimes in this whole thing. Are there any ways that you guys can think of to sort of bring some fun to the table? To kind of shake things up a bit, kind of I don't know how else to word this, but to just to bring some fun for yourself, for the employees. Any tips there?
Yeah, personally, I would say make sure that you try to create some level of routine, but put breaks in there. I mean, this is a unique time, so make sure you're doing things that you personally like to do. If that's, stop working for a bit and watch something funny or look at some funny YouTube videos or whatever you like to do. You've seen lots of people that if you're working at home, you and your spouse or your partner are both working from home, make up an invisible coworker to blame for those annoying things that they might be doing, just so that you laugh. What else, Robert? What would you?
So one thing is the change curve video that I'll be putting up by Friday. I mean, it addresses basically that. So, you know, one of the pieces of the change curve is commonly called the Valley of Despair, and it's the low point, and that's where a lot of people are entering right now. And that can be a very lonely place, and you have to shift your mindset in order to start exploring ways to get out of that. So I'll have a whole video up on our social media that will go through that entire process. But this question is basically acknowledging that that's the case for people. The other thing, if you're a business owner or even for your employees that have any time, there is a free course that Yale has put out. It's their most popular course in the history of the university, and it's all about mindset and how to increase happiness and et cetera, et cetera. And they
Called
have
the Science of Well-Being.
yeah, and we'll put a link to that out too for people to register because it is free and it's extremely valuable course.
Give
That
you
you
something
can,
else to focus on right now, and
yeah.
also professional personal development, but something to take a break from the day to day and learn some new coping mechanisms as well.
Super. That's good stuff. Well, I want to say to you guys, thank you. It is time for us to wrap this up. We have a slide up with your contact information, so people are free to reach out to you if they have additional questions. And again, just thanks for taking the time. We want to let people know, kind of remind you that one of the roles that your chamber plays in our community is to create an economic environment that allows prosperity to occur. And together we keep staying close to one another. We stay in touch with each other, help each other out, and we're going to come through all of this stronger than we've ever been. And so we're very confident of that at the chamber. And so I just want to say to you, on behalf of the Longview Chamber of Commerce and our staff, we appreciate you being on the call today. And just as a reminder, it's recorded. It'll be up on our website on the COVID-19 page under the chamber resources, and you can access it at any time. We're doing all this for free to help as many people as we can through this crisis. So again, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon on another call. Bye-bye.